appear on the webcam on the recording, feel free to turn off your webcam. That's fine, because it's a small group. If you want to keep on your microphones, that's fine, as long as we don't have children's noises in the background. If you do, please mute your microphone. And we'll get started in a second. And we are recording right now, so that's awesome. So this is the third Tech Clinic of this week. It's amazing to be here. I know Danielle has heard this already twice, but never mind. If I give you a little bit of background about myself. So I was lucky enough to come to Seoul back in 2014, literally 6 weeks, I think it was, after the birth of my son, my lovely son, who is, of course, is now 6 years old. And I took part in the young learners section of Coty Seoul. So I have actually been to Seoul just the one time. I've been to Southeast Asia many times, but I've only been to Seoul the one time. And my background is I was a languages teacher. I taught French for 13 years, secondary school level for 3 years, and then 10 years at middle school level on the Isle of Wight, which is where I live. And I've lived here for over 20 years now. And for the last 10 years or so, I've been an independent languages consultant, and I normally travel around the world doing face-to-face events. But of course, as of March of last year, that's not been possible for obvious reasons. And so I've had to make all my living through webinars, essentially. So it's a real pleasure to be here. I feel very fortunate to have this opportunity, and I really hope that you find the session useful. So you can see that on my opening slide there, I've got my Twitter handle. I've recently surpassed 31,000 followers on Twitter, which is a little bit crazy, but I have been on Twitter for 13 years. And I've helped to nurture a community known as the MFL Twitterati, which I will put in the chat for you. So this is a community of language teachers, language consultants like myself, and language associations from the UK and from Ireland and beyond. And the hashtag is used by people from all over the world. So one thing I would suggest today and moving forwards is, while you're having a cup of coffee or a beverage of your choice, do the 10-minute challenge of checking out the hashtag and then a keyword like speaking or grammar or the name of a tool like Flipgrid, for example, and you'll find lots of teachers who are languages teachers who are sharing advice on how to do speaking activities, for example, or how to use a particular tool. So I would really, really recommend that. There's 5,000 members of the Twitter list, which I manage, and the number of people who are using the hashtag would go into thousands. So it's a really, really rich resource for people to access. And my email address is there as well, joedell@talk21.com. Again, if you find the session useful and you'd like to get in contact with me about doing a further session at your context, your university or your school or what have you, then I would love to hear about that as well. That'd be amazing. Right, so let's make a start. So the point of this clinic session, which is the first time Coty Seoul have run a clinic session of this type, I've done quite a few clinic sessions. I found that as opposed to just doing a straight presentation, asking people exactly, advice on what they need and what they would like, proves to be proving very popular at the moment. So that's the idea of the clinic. And the first question we've got today, which might take the whole session, we'll see how we get on. The last two sessions we've been doing basically one question over the hour and a half. So this one is a very sort of a wide-ranging question. How can I use technology effectively to teach online? For example, presenting with a whiteboard, interactive activities, absolutely recommend. So this is like bread and butter of what I talk about. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through a number of different ideas, starting off with lots of ideas around whiteboards, and then moving on to other ideas as well. And feel free to put any questions you'd like in the chat. It's helpful for me if you write the letter Q in front of the question, if you have any extra questions you want to ask me. And I'm more than happy to demonstrate things live or just go through the presentation. That's what this is all about. So it's a bit like sort of messy learning, as it were. It's just not just like a slick presentation. I can come out of my presentation and then show you something live, which is what we have been doing the last 2 days. So let's make a start on the first idea. So I thought this would be a useful starting point. So as you can see, at the title of this is Crowdsource Strategies from the MFL Twitterati, which I mentioned already. So if we're looking at ways in which we can engage young people, or if you're teaching adults as well, of course, how to engage them with the use of technologies in a remote teaching or hybrid teaching context, then I asked that question to the MFL Twitterati. I've been asking people lots of questions, and you can see these are some of the answers. So I'll just give you a moment to read that while I'm sipping my coffee, and then we'll carry on from there. Okay, so at the beginning, I think this is incredibly important, this whole sort of checking in with the students before you start, asking them how they are. There's various tools that you can use for doing these sorts of check-ins, like sort of any sort of interactive tool like Padlet or Jamboard or Google Docs or Class Notebook or whatever it is that you're using, allows you very easily to collaborate together and to create some sort of interaction with you and your students. I think that's incredibly important. That's something which has come up a lot, not only with the MFL Twitterati community, but in lots of webinars that I've seen about checking on students' well-being. I know some schools, what they do is they'll have like office hours with their students, so they'll know that between certain hours they can always text them or see how they are or what have you, clearly adhering to the e-safety policy at your school or your university while doing that. It's a bit different with adults, obviously, but if we're talking about younger people, that's fine. Can I just check with everyone in the room? Are you all you're all university based? Are you all teaching adults, not young learners? Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so that's fine. But my traditional context is talking about young people, so that's fine. Okay. Right. Yeah. Checking in regularly with classes, providing regular feedback. So there are lots of tools which allow you to do that. Padlet, OneNote, Google Docs. With audio, quicker conversations. I'm a big fan of that. That allows you to create well, there's two ways of using it. You can either use it for individual audio feedback, or you can use it for having a conversation thread. In other words, you create the resource, you record your audio, you can then share the link with the students. They can then all record responses to that, which is really, really nice. And then Screencastify and Loom, which we talked about in depth earlier on this week. Finishing off lessons maybe with sort of short, snappy, interactive exercises, things like Edpuzzle. I'm actually doing a webinar with Edpuzzle on the 15th of March, which is free. It's going to be at 8 o'clock in the evening GMT. So that's going to be in the middle of the night for you, unfortunately, but it will be recorded. It will be recorded and it'll be available on my YouTube channel, along with many, many other recordings that I've done recently. So my YouTube channel is available at Jodo100. You've got other interactive tools such as live worksheets, which allows you to make a PDF into a markable worksheet, which is really nice. Lyrics training from listening comprehension practice. Flipgrid, which we did a big dive into on Monday. Google Forms, which you did yesterday. So Creative is another formative assessment activity, and so on and so forth. And then it's, finishing lessons with, say, things like Quizlet Live or quizzes or Kahoot or Genially or Wordwall. So these sorts of free interactive exercises are a nice way to finish the lesson with a buzz. Quicker, I've talked about already, and so on and so forth. So those are some ideas shared by practicing teachers on what they find works for them. Okay. Right, another set of ideas also from the MFL Twitterati is the following. So you can see here that back in May, I asked the questions, as you've all been teaching remotely for a number of weeks now, what would you say your do's and don'ts of online teaching? And then the second question, how do you ensure interaction with your students when teaching either synchronously or asynchronously, e.g. playing games, setting homework, or using the chat function in online tools? And again, lots of the MFL Twitterati then shared ideas with me, and I put them into this Google Doc, which you've got the link for at the bottom. In relation to the presentation, by the way, I'll be sharing the whole presentation with you. What I did essentially was, once I got all the questions in from the Google form, I then answered all the questions in the form of one big presentation. And then each day I've been sort of making abridged versions of the presentation, which I've then been sharing with Michael. And he'll be able to share those with you later on. So once we finish this presentation, I will then make the abridged version and send that to Michael as well. So you're going to get everything. But one of the most important things at the top here, which came up a few times, the first point, keep students organized using Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, or Show My Homework. So whichever tool you're using, make sure that you have everything for a lesson in the one place. So you have, for example, a Google Doc or a class notebook or what have you, and then all the links and everything are in the one document, as opposed to putting a link in the chat. Oh, go here, watch this video, click on this link in the chat there. Having everything in the one place in the one document is really, really useful. That's what lots of practicing teachers have said. And then there's lots of other ideas as well, some of which we've covered in the previous slide. But again, I think it's been lovely to see so many people sharing their ideas, comparing notes on what works. And that's been one of the silver linings of this whole situation, the way in which teachers have come together and shared their ideas. Okay, now in this next slide, likewise, I asked the question to the MFL Twitterati, do you feel as if your practice has changed as a result of suddenly being thrown in at the deep end to do emergency remote teaching, which is of course what happened all around the world in March of last year? And what I did was I asked that question, and then lots of people replied to that question with their different answers. And I've made a little video now, which I'm going to show to you, which goes through all the different answers. I'll just make sure I'm got the audio. Yeah, I am showing my sound. That's great. I'm going to go through this now with you. It's about 2.5 minutes, but it's really, I think, insightful on getting a flavor of how people have felt that are on the ground, that are teaching remotely or have been teaching remotely. This was in the first lockdown. And yeah, and I'd love to know your impressions on this afterwards. So I'm just going to play this for you now. And each slide is approximately 7 seconds. Some of them I've made a bit, I put there for a bit longer because there's more text, but you might have to read a bit quickly if that's okay. We'll see how we get on. Here we go. There we are. Okay. I don't know if you wanted to turn on your mics at all and maybe make a comment about anything that you've seen there or anything I've said so far. Any reflections on any of the comments? If not, don't worry. It's right. You don't have to. I just wondered if there's anything that you wanted to say. Cheryl.
I noticed like a lot of the comments that they have said are what like educational researchers and practitioners have been saying for years that educators need to do more of.
Yeah. But then at the same time, maybe they're feeling it more keenly because because they've been, as I've said, chucked in at the deep end.
Well, and it's one thing
in
for
relation
experts.
to technology. Go on. Sorry, go.
It's one thing for experts to tell you what to do as a teacher and then try to figure out how to do that on your own when you have so many other things going on. But when you're forced to do it, like you are in that situation, it's really interesting to me that what has seemed to emerge is exactly what the research has shown is actually better education. Like focus on differentiation and student autonomy, like all those kinds of things are really critical anyway. So it's very hopeful and positive to see those comments.
Yeah, well, that's lovely to hear. And I think, like yourself, I've been saying this for years and years and years, because obviously this is how I make a living, in encouraging people who are language teachers to use technology. But what we've seen here, I think, is the fact that because people had to do it, I think a silver lining of this whole situation is maybe people's awareness of the power of technology. Those people have been reluctant to use it in the past, maybe will change. I mean, within the MFL Twitterati, I would say just by the nature of being on Twitter and what have you, probably people are a little bit more techno savvy than maybe the average person, let's say the average teacher. But then at the same time, we accept it, and we accept anybody. You don't have to be like really whizzy at all with technology. It's all about everyone supporting and sharing and collaborating together, which has always been the case, but particularly obviously during the pandemic. So I think that really resonated with me, certainly, all those different comments. I think it's been lovely to see how people have got excited about, like simple things like being able to record a voiceover on a PowerPoint that they never knew how to do before. But because of the pandemic, they were suddenly, thrust into the situation whereby they weren't allowed, for example, to do live lessons. There are lots of schools in the UK that don't allow live lessons, as in synchronous interaction. And so as a result of that, there were lots of teachers that then thought, well, how am I supposed to deliver my content? And then, I've got my PowerPoints. And then I would say, or other people would say on social media, you do know you can record a voiceover with a PowerPoint. And then you could see in their comment that they would, have blown their mind on being able to do that. So that's what one of my hopes moving forward is that the community or the profession, not just language teachers, but across all subjects, is that people's attitude towards what can be done with the use of technology, that we move more towards a blended approach rather than only face-to-face or only the enthusiasts, let's say, that we have a more blended approach across the board, which I think we will see with things like screencasting and setting homework via an LMS such as Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, what have you. I think we will see more of that. But at the same time, as was made very clear in the comments, lots of teachers can't wait to get back to the face-to-face, and they really missed all those soft skills as well. Jeffrey, did you want to say something at all? Because I saw that you had your mic off, I think, at one point. Don't worry if you don't, it's fine. Okay, Jeffrey.
No, sorry, I was waiting for the noise to settle down.
Right.
Sorry.
I'm wondering what they're doing. They're like digging a tunnel or building a bridge or something. Or anyway,
it's a little bit of both. So.
Okay, sorry, over to you.
Yeah, that's something else that resonated with me was seeing learner autonomy, but also it made me think about teacher autonomy also, because using a lot of different technologies has given us an opportunity to explore different ways of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're able to, one, grow with our professional development, but also look at and approach issues that come up in classes in very creative and different ways, instead of being really stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think that's exactly true. And I think also what's been really lovely to see as well is that people have been focusing on the pedagogy and not on the technology. So people have been saying, okay, so so for example, in relation to speaking, it was decided that we weren't allowed to do when we went back in September, when it was hybrid classes, teachers were not allowed to move around the classroom. Children had to socially distance in the classroom, which was completely ridiculous. If you only had you can't like move the walls, as it were, if you only had a set amount of space. Anyway, that's another issue in itself. Although the BBC tended to take lots of photographs of classrooms with like 10 children in them in a massive space. But anyway, let's not be political about this. But the point I'm trying to make is that with speaking, we were told they weren't allowed to do typical pair work activities or group work activities because they weren't allowed to be too near each other. Therefore, lots of teachers were saying, okay, well, how do I then use technology to do that? And then there were lots of people. So in other words, the starting point was the pedagogy and what we want to do in the classroom, not this is a nice tool, how do I use it, which can be the trap that you can fall into. So that's been nice to see. Yeah, so absolutely. Okay, let's carry on. Thank you so much for your comments. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's go. Let's do a bit of a dive into some of the possibilities around whiteboards and different things that you can do. So if you're in a Microsoft environment, then you have access to Microsoft Whiteboard, which is well, the Teams version. I have to be careful what I say here. I find it a little bit clunky, but or not as feature rich compared to other equivalents, say Google Jamboard, which I really like. But I appreciate with Google Jamboard you have to have a Google account to use it, and I'm saying this completely independently. I don't have any affiliation with anyone at all, which has always been the case. That's why I call myself an independent language consultant. Anyway. But with Whiteboard, certainly you get a difference between the Teams version of Whiteboard, which comes within Teams, and then the app version. So with the app version, in other words, the desktop app version of Whiteboard, you get many more features. For example, you can add in photographs, you can lasso objects and move them around the screen. You've got many, many more options. As you can see there, top right of my screenshot, it says open in app. So if you download the Microsoft Whiteboard app, it gives you many, many more features. But in the sort of stripped down basic version that comes with Teams, you can add sticky notes, you can draw on the screen, you can add a text box, you can rub things out. So it's really quite limited, but you can still do lots of teaching and learning ideas around that. I mean, there've been classrooms around the world for centuries, if not longer, which have used just basic tools like drawing and writing, which is fine. You can also collaborate together on the same board, which is great. The canvas is unlimited. You don't get the access to lots of different screens, but you can make a limited canvas, which is nice. So it is there, and it is part of Teams. If you're using Teams, then that's a nice tool to use, certainly for standard whiteboard activities. I came across this tweet recently, or TikTok, should I say, but it was on Twitter. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play this for you live in a second. But essentially what this teacher did, which I thought was really clever, was they had Teams open up on their PC laptop, but they also had the app on their iPad. So what they did was they had Teams on their iPad. They joined the Teams meeting on their second device, remembering to mute the audio on your second device. Otherwise, you get feedback, which sounds awful. And then you'll see this live in a second. I'm just explaining what she's going to be showing you. But she then shared her screen within Teams on the iPad. That allowed her to share her desktop. From there, she was able to launch the Whiteboard app. And then she was able to annotate on the Whiteboard app on her iPad, or inking as it's referred to officially. And then that appeared on the PC. So in other words, you can demonstrate live on your second device while talking, which is so it's much easier to draw with your finger or with a stylus compared to using the mouse. So I'll just play the clip now. If I, let's go back, hang on 2 seconds. Let's go back to here and then click here and click here. There we are, right click and copy. And then, and I know I've got lots of tabs open before you say anything, but I've got 16 gigs of RAM, so it's all good. Michael and I were comparing RAM yesterday, as you do, which is maybe a male thing, I don't know. Anyway, here's the video.
Teaching tip. So I always log into each lesson on 2 devices.
Let's just go full screen. Hang on, let's start again. Right, here we go. So it's only a minute long. Here we go.
Virtual teaching tip. So I always log into each lesson on 2 devices, my computer and my iPad. When I log in on my iPad, I make sure that everything is turned off so there's no echo. Then I'm going to share my iPad screen so that my students can see what I am doing on my screen. This is why I go in on 2 devices, so my students can see the screen, but they can also still see me. On my iPad, I go to an app called Whiteboard. It's free to download. It is awesome. You can either have things ready beforehand or do it live. Students can see what you are writing in real time. You can add a photo in, so if there's a template that they have at home or a math work page you want to do, you can add that in, resize it, and then just write on the board. There's tons of different colors and pens to choose from, which is fun too. And then the students can see, again, in real time, exactly what you are writing. You can have them highlight. Virtual teaching tip. So I always log in.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think that's really nice. Just a simple way that maybe people haven't thought about before. Again, I've loved how innovative people have been, coming up with like different ideas. So the people will say, well, how do I see the chat, for example, if I'm using Google Meet? And people say, well, just come in on a second device, and then you can access the chat on the second device, or unless you have 2 screens, of course, but which is basically the same thing if you have a second device. But why not do that? Or likewise with Teams, and even myself, I'm pretty techie to say the least, but just working things out, working out the workflow, and then once you had it, it was good to go. So it's wonderful that people from around the world have shared these sorts of videos, just blowing your mind on the things that you can do to make your whole setup easier, which is just fantastic. So I thought that was really neat from Madam Adamson there, who I think is a teacher in the States. There we are. Okay. So if you're working in a Google environment, then the equivalent of Microsoft Whiteboard is Jamboard. This is a photo that was shared by Mylène Leslie, who is a head of department in a school in Scotland, New Battle High School. And in this situation, this is a hybrid teaching context where you'll have some students at home self-isolating. So this would have been in the autumn term 2020, and some students face-to-face. So as you can see, they're not allowed to move around the classroom, so they're just accessing the Jamboard on their own devices at their seats. So by doing that, it means they can all collaborate together on the same Jamboard. They can move things around if they're in the classroom or if they're at home, or to use another term, with Zoomies and Roomies, which I quite like. Of course, you don't have to be using Zoom, but we are right now. But yeah, Zoomies and Roomies, that was a phrase coined by Meredith White, who's a Spanish teacher from the States. And she did a webinar for our Tilt series, which I've not mentioned yet, but I'll just quickly put this in the chat. So Tilt stands for Technology and Language Teaching. And again, on my YouTube channel, you'll find recordings of many, many different examples of webinars that we've done. We've done over 80 since the start of March through the Association of Language Learning, and myself and my friend Helen Myers, who's the chair of the Association of Language Learning for the London branch. Hang on, I just mentioned, yeah, we've worked together tirelessly and have organized and hosted over 80 webinars, all of which have been accessible for free. You can come along and watch them live, but again, they're 8 o'clock in the evening, most of them. Although actually, that's not true. Some of them are 3:30. In fact, we've got one on Saturday at 3:30 GMT, which is going to be amazing. A lady called Sonia Fedrizi, and yeah, you can access all the recordings from my YouTube channel. Right. Cheryl's saying, can you save the markup on the whiteboard to send a file to students later? Yes, you can. You definitely can with Jamboard. I'm sure you can with Microsoft Whiteboard as well. Or of course, you could just take a screenshot if you wanted to. But yeah, I'm sure you can export. That's not a problem at all. I definitely know you can with Jamboard. Yeah, so that's the picture there from Mylène's class, and then this is, can I just ask actually, are you in a Microsoft environment or Google environment or somewhere else? You can write in the chat, or you can open up your mic. Just be interesting to know, because obviously in this situation, what I've tried to do is I've tried to cater to a Microsoft or Jamboard or Google users. It doesn't really matter. I could just carry on as it is. But okay, so you're using Google. Okay, so in a Google environment, I would really recommend Jamboard. It's fantastic. And then in other environments, you can use other tools. And there are some third-party tools as well, including Whiteboard Chat, which I'm going to refer to later as well. Whiteboard Chat, which works in any environment, which allows you to create this sort of collaborative whiteboard. Okay, so when I decided to do a lot of research around Jamboard, what I did was I went on to Twitter, as I normally do, and I searched the hashtag Jamboard. And as a result of that, I was able to see lots of different ways in which teachers were using Jamboard. And then what I thought I would do is I would actually put together 3 Jamboards with 60 ideas aimed at language teachers and how you can use Jamboard. And I'm going to give you a flavor of these right now. So if I click on this first link, it will now come up. There we are. So you can see I've called the first one MFL Twitterati Jam. And the first idea, if you've not seen Jamboard before, you've got this floating toolbar here. So you can draw on the screen, you can erase things, you can select things and move them around. You can add in a sticky note. That's an example here. You can add in any image. You can add in a perfect circle or a triangle or a square. You can add in a text box, and you can use the pointer as well, which is quite nice. So that you can do this and then it then disappears. So that's quite a nice way of using that as well. Okay. So the first idea is you could record your screen, going back to what we were doing earlier on this week about screen recording, which we looked at on Monday. You could be moving items around the Jamboard while recording the screen at the same time. And then as a result of that, you can then use this as a way of maybe explaining a grammar point or moving things around the screen or showing how a verb changes according to the subject pronoun, and so on and so forth. So that's one idea. At the top here, you've got the frames, the different frames. And if you click on the arrow here, it will take you through to the next one. So this is using a free website which makes online crossword puzzles called Xwords, xwords-generator.de/en, if you want the English version. And you can just make your crossword with different items in it. And then the idea is you then add the picture onto the crossword. You can also, if I show you here, if you see it says set background, if I click here, you've got the option now of adding the image as a background, because otherwise, if you get a child who wants, or a student that wants to be a pain, they can actually move this around the screen like that. Whereas if you set it as a background, that's not possible. You can't do that. So that's a nice way of doing that. And then the idea is that in the, I loved your smile there, Jeffrey, by the way, as in like a knowing smile. That was great. And that's the other thing as well, being able to see the people you're talking to while delivering makes a massive difference. So being able to do simple things like splitting your screen, so you can have your presentation on one side and see the students' faces on the other side, or the attendees' face on the other side, makes a massive difference to that connection that you're making. So that's really important as well. So the idea on this slide is that the students would click on the pen tool and then write in their answers, which is fantastic. If I then go on to the next one here, this one's quite fun. This is a drag and drop activity. I'm not going to go through every single slide, but I'll just give you a flavor of some of these. So you can see here, I've got my Bitmoji Chrome extension. So if you haven't used Bitmojis before, you need to have a Bitmoji account. To create an account, you need to download the Bitmoji app on iOS or Android. To create your account, you then log into your account in the Bitmoji Chrome extension. And as a result of that, you're then able to create your Bitmojis here. So what I can do is I can actually make a customized Bitmoji. So I could put, for example, Cotisol Rocks. And as you can see, these will now come up like this. Okay. And what I can do as well is I can highlight the text and click X and then paste it again and get another selection of different images. Let's see what comes up this time. Nothing at the moment. So let's try that again. should have worked. That's interesting. It doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Let's try it one more time. It's thinking about it. I think it's just waiting to load up. Okay. What I'll do, let me just launch that again because it worked the first time. There we are. Okay. So we've got different, right. So here, for example, I've got this one here and I can literally drag and drop that onto, there we are. Can you see? Onto Jamboard. So that's really nice in itself. So in other words, you can drag and drop any Bitmojis into your Jamboard frame. But you can see here, I've made this animated GIF. So I'm going to show you live how to do this now. Now, what you do is you put in the word pose like this. Okay. And when you put in the word pose, then different items come up without any text as well, which is really nice. So what you can then do is you can choose, let's say, a couple of them that you would like. So I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to right click that one and click Save Image As, which is here. Click Save. It now downloads to Chrome, bottom left. And then I want to have one that's just standing, which is this one. So I right click that and I click Save Image As. Okay, there we are. I've now got my two images in Bitmoji. Now I'm going to go to a new page and I'm going to go to gifmaker.me, gifmaker.me, which is a completely free site. And you can see here, it says upload images. So I click on that and I choose my two images. So I'm going to click that one, and then I click open. Okay, what happens, as you can see there, it uploads the two images, and when you run them together, it makes it animated. Then what you can do is click create GIF animation, click download the GIF, click save, there it is. And now I can go back to Jamboard, and then what you have to do then is you click on the image option here, add image, like that, and then you then drag your GIF straight onto the page, and here it is, and there we are. So that's how you can make an animated GIF and put it straight into Jamboard. There we are. Brilliant. Nice one. Okay. Another little trick as well that you can do is if you want to draw a line on the Jamboard, if I click on the pen tool and I choose, say, black, and you try to draw a line, right? It's impossible to do a straight line. Whereas if you hold down Shift while doing the line, it makes it perfectly straight, which is a little trick which I didn't realize I learned about on Twitter. And then if you want to do undo, you just get rid of it, and so on and so forth. So there we are. That's that one. This is the suggestion here, is that you can use Jamboard in breakout rooms. So you give one frame per little group, and they're doing breakout rooms there. This is Russell Stannard, who I'm sure you know, but if you don't know Russell, go on to YouTube and do a search for his name. He's done many videos around breakout rooms, and that's really cool. He's a great guy as well. This one is using a website called Photosforclass.com, which is a directory. Let me just show you, which is a directory of free royalty-free images. So if I were to put in Soul here, we'll see what comes up. Okay, there we are. We've got some lovely pictures of Soul. And if I choose this one, for example, I can just click download like that, click save. And then when it comes up like this, it's just downloading now. There we are. You can see that at the bottom of the page there, it's automatically added the attribution to where you can find the original. So from a copyright point of view, you covered yourself, because all the images are all Creative Commons licensed images, but it's giving you the exact attribution. So with any multimedia project, if you use Photosforclass, that's really, really nice. So once you've done that, you can then import that straight into Jamboard, and then ask the students to do some questions around that picture, or you could obviously write some questions and then get them to discuss it remotely or in a hybrid context. Let's carry on. This is called the snipping tool. Now, this is the old version, or the original version of the snipping tool. I'm also a big fan of Snip and Sketch, which is the new version. So they're both, if you have a Windows 10 machine, then you can get either a snipping tool, as you can see here. And what you can do is you can right click that and click pin to taskbar. Obviously, I've already got mine on the taskbar. That's why it says unpin from taskbar. You just click pin to taskbar. And then the other one is called Snip and Sketch, which is the updated version, which is this one. So let me put that again, Snip and Sketch. Okay, and then again, if you right click that and you pin to taskbar. Now what Snip and Sketch allows you to do, which I just think is genius, and I'm using it on a daily basis, this. So as you can see, it says Snip and Sketch. What you do is you click on the 3 dots here and you click settings, okay? Then here it says print screen shortcut. Use the print screen button to open screen snipping. So you click on that, you click yes here. This then comes up and you scroll down to where it says print screen shortcut and you enable that. Having enabled that, what it allows you to do is it allows you to press the print screen on your keyboard and it launches the Snip and Sketch, and it's brilliant. So I will show you why that's brilliant now. What I can do, let's imagine I want to take a snip of something on the screen right now. I can press print screen like this, right? The screen goes a bit, shaded. I can then drag over that, for example. That will then produce a little pop-up bottom right. I can then click on that pop-up. I can then use the annotation tool here if I wanted to. So if I wanted, for example, to draw an arrow, I could do that. And then as a result of that, I can then click the save option, which is here. Click save. I can then go back to here and click the add image option. I can then click browse, put in screenshot, and it's going to be here. There we are, and click open. And that's going to add that picture straight, as you can see here, straight into my Jamboard, which is just fantastic. Now, another way of using this is if you have, for example, a Google Doc, and you do, for example, docs.new, which is a shortcut for making a Google Doc. So if you wanted, for example, to make a new Google Slides presentation, you do slides.new, sheets.new, form.new, sites.new, jam.new allows you to make a brand new copy or whatever it is that you wanted to use. So a Jamboard, jam.new as a shortcut makes a brand new Jamboard for you. Really simple. So now, for example, if I wanted to do the following, this is an example text. And then I can then copy this multiple times like this. And then let's copy that again. Okay, let's imagine this is a student's work. What I can do is I can click print screen like that. I can then drag, select over the text. There it is. I click on that now. I look at this and I then highlight different bits. I write SP or something here, so on and so forth. I can then come out of this and go at the bottom like that and literally paste it in. Can you see? That is fantastic, I think. So yes, of course, you could just use commenting. You could use commenting and you could do audio comments or written comments. But if you like to annotate on a screen, that's really, really nice. So Snip and Sketch with the print screen shortcut is, to me, a game changer. I'm using it all the time. The equivalent on a Mac is you don't have the Snip and Sketch, but you do have keyboard shortcut. So it's Command plus Shift plus the number 4. So on a Mac, if you do Command Shift 4, then you get the little cross that appears on the screen, and then you can then select whatever it is you want to select. That will then make a screenshot of that. You can then import that into wherever you want to import it. But I think Snip and Sketch is just wonderful. So there we are. That's that one. And then if we carry on a little bit more, if you're using Google Jamboard, you can, because Jamboard is a core Google app, if you're using Classroom, you can then assign one Jamboard per student, or of course you can make one Jamboard that everyone can then access if you want as well. This one is just using like the stickers that come with the app version, which is slightly different from the web-based version. So the idea again about well-being is they're supposed to drag their name along that arrow to show how they're feeling, if they're feeling good or they're feeling sad or what have you, and so on and so forth. So I'll just give you a flavor of the other ones here. These different icons. That's like a drag and drop sorting activity with auxiliary verbs, subject pronouns, etc. And so on and so forth. So lots and lots of ideas, and I'm sharing all of these Jamboards with you for free as part of this clinic. You can access them all here. I'll just show you the second one very quickly because there's a few more games in that one. So this is called MFL Twitterati Jam More Ideas. So the first one is you have a question in the target language in the middle, and then the different pupil answers, student answers. So do you prefer basketball or volleyball? And then the instructions are here in our idea question of the day. This one is using a website called remove.bg, which is really cool, which I'll just show you here. Remove.bg. And that allows you to remove the background of any picture. If I just show you again live, if I show you here, remove.bg, there are other ways of removing a background, but I think this is particularly cool. So if I go to here, upload image, I find an image on my desktop, this one, for example, of a random man. Okay, can you see what's happened? It's just remove the background. So that means now I can download that image as it is, or I can click edit, and I can decide to put this man in is it going to work? In a disco, or I could put him in like, autumn leaves, or like with Jeffrey. Jeffrey's got a lovely, backdrop there. I could put Jeffrey wherever I wanted. There we are. I could put him here. There we are. Can you see? So this means that you can then take that image and you can then download that image, and that's how it works, and put it straight into Jamboard. You can also use a color background to make you, look like you're in an advert or something. Just absolutely brilliant. A completely free tool to use. And you can, there we are. So if let's just do that again. Let's go back to the beginning. Or let's go here. If I go here, yeah. If I click download, I can download that image like that. I can go back to my Jamboard like this, and I can just, no, I can't, that's right. I have to click the image option first, then I can drag him on, and there we are. So that's fantastic, I think. Really, really useful. So going back to this one here, there we are. So that's what I did. And then I just added a speech bubble over the top. So that's how you can create that sort of activity. This is the idea is you take a register. So the students then drag and drop their name. So their the tick or the cross for the register. Another emoji check-in. They just write their names here, and then they just put their name according to how they're feeling. This is Battleships. I know this is in French here, but the idea is that you have 2 frames, and then you position the battleships where you want them to go. And then the idea is one student then has to guess where the other battleships are. And of course, they're not allowed to go from frame to frame, otherwise that's cheating. But then you could do battleships remotely in that way. Connect 4, same idea, is you then draw on the circle here. You can have this as a background as well, so you can't then move this around. I made this before they introduced that as a new feature, but I would have this as a background so you can't suddenly move this around. And then you just draw in either yellow or red in the gap. There, noughts and crosses. This one took me about 3 hours to make. But what I did was I asked people in the MFL Twitterati if they could send me Bitmojis, which is what they did. And then using a combination of keynotes on my iPad, I was able to make these little like sort of sticker activities. And then I then dragged them all individually into my camera roll on my iPad and then put them into Jamboard from there. And you can have a game of Connect 4 with the MFL Twitterati. And some people have done that, which I just think is hilarious. As in they tweeted about it, that their students are having a game with all these language teachers. But there we are. That took a long time to make, but I'm showing it with you for free because I'm nice. There we are. Anyway, you get the idea. So I'll move on, but that's there's lots of ideas there on how you can use it. And don't forget, I'm giving you all the links here. In fact, let me just do this right now. I'll just put this in the chat. You're going to get the whole presentation, but just right now, while you're here and you're all amazing, I will copy this for you and paste this in the chat for you, so you've got it straight away. There we are. Okay, right. Let's. Oh, and they're supposed to be view only. If you want to make a copy, I don't know if you know how to do this, but what you can do is if you go to, let's have a look. If I go to, I think this is right. If I go to there and put copy, let's see if that works. Yeah, right. So here, for example, if I post this in here, if you click on that, it will then make a copy of the Jamboard straight away. Or if I do the same for the other one, if I get rid of where it says viewer at the end, can you see up to viewer? If I get rid of that and put in the word copy, it makes a copy for you. And I'll do the same with the last one as well. So you've got what's called a forced copy. And then the last one is here. Oh, let's do that here. And then there we are, paste that in and copy. Perfect. So then you've got that there. There we are. That should now all work. I just want to double check actually that because the other link I gave you didn't finish with sharing. So I just want to make sure you definitely got it. So let's put that there. There we are, copy. That's definitely going to work. And then the second one, I just that one again. So you definitely got it. Okay. Paste that in. Okay, so please, do use this, but please let people know who have got this, that's where you got it from, as it were. That would be much appreciated, because obviously it's taken me a lot of time putting this all together. There we are. Okay, there we are. So you've got that now. That's fantastic. And let's carry on with Jamboard. So those are a few ideas around Jamboard and Whiteboard. A lot of the ideas in the Jamboard you could use with Microsoft Whiteboard. So it's just knowing about what you could do, the sort of games activities, grammar activities that you can do. Is, I think, really helpful. Now, this is highlighting the difference between the Jamboard Web App and the iOS and Android apps. So they're slightly different. You've got a few more features with the Jamboard app on iOS and on Android. For example, you've got what are called the assistive drawing tools. So you've got the capital A and the small a allows you to write with your finger or stylus on the screen, and it will then turn that into digitized text, which is quite nice. You've got the circle and the square, which at the time wasn't available on the web app version of Jamboard, which it is now. So in other words, if you draw a circle, it will make it into a perfect circle, that sort of thing. And if you click on the pen icon with a little star next to it, what that allows you to do is it allows you to draw a picture, and then it then gives you different options of what the picture could be in relation to professional looking clip art. And that's using what's called auto draw, which again I can demonstrate live now to show you how this works. So this is not using the web, I'm not using the app to do this. I'm just going to show you how to do this using auto draw, but it's the same technology. So this is a Google tool, and the way that it works is I choose the color here like that, and I'm going to draw a picture of a cat, but I'm going to do that with my mouse, and it's not very difficult. It's not very easy to draw a mouse. Draw a cat with a mouse. So I'm going to do this now. I'm trying to draw a cat, which always looks a bit like a bat, but never mind. I'm doing the whiskers now, like this, and you can see what's happening at the top of the screen. What's happening is using artificial intelligence, it's trying to work out what this is supposed to be. So it thinks it could be. I love your face there, Cheryl. That's great. Yeah, it's a wow moment, isn't it? So you've got cats here, you've got a rabbit, you've got a leaf, you've got a whale, you've got a beard, apparently. You've got another mouse here, as in a computer mouse. So what you can do here, you can click on the mouse icon and suddenly your cat, your really bad cat, looks like a proper mouse. And this works in the Jamboard app, but of course you can use this on the web in any application you want. And all the images are royalty free, which is just great. So now what you can do is you can click on the select tool and you can make that face a bit bigger like that. You can click on the fill option, change the color to say yellow. Then you can then click here and it makes your cat yellow, that sort of thing. So you can use that to make like a whole montage of images if you wanted to, or you can do it for one image, and then you can also add text as well if you wanted to. You could do this. I am a cat, and so on and so forth. And of course you can use the color as well, like that. Change the color, choose the select tool, make that bigger or smaller, like that. And then you can then click on the 3 lines here and click download and download the image. And there we are. And then you could then go back to Jamboard if you wanted to, and then just drag the image straight into Jamboard. So that's, you know, that's really, really nice. So with the app version, you get this option of auto draw, but you also get it on the web version, autodraw.com. And if you're a fan of Book Creator, which is, I don't think we're covering that here, but Book Creator is a fantastic tool for creating ebooks, and you actually have Book Creator built in, auto draw built into Book Creator. So with Book Creator, you can create up to 40 books for free. You create a library, you give the code to the students, they can then make their books. They all appear in the same library, so it's a very safe and moderated environment. Just to give you a flavor of auto draw, just to show you how this works. And that's free. If you want to have more than 40 books, you then have to pay, but that's fine. So if I, for example, wanted to go to the next, let's have a look. There we are. So this is an example of the auto draw picture. And what you can do is you can click in fact, I can probably just drag and drop it. Yeah, I can just drag it on there. So I've just dragged that in and here it is. So I've just put it straight into there. That's how I made that from dragging in a picture that I've downloaded from auto draw, but I can also click the plus icon here and I can click media and I can click pen and it says auto. You see auto. So I click auto. I then try and draw my cat again, very badly. And there it is. There's the cat. And then that's the cat there now. I can then click the little X and I can choose the paint can and choose the color and go for, say, that sort of yellowy color, and then click there and then color it in, that sort of thing. I find the definition of the cat in auto draw in Book Creator is not as good as the definition of the picture in the autodraw.com, but there we are. That's how that works. And then let me just make that a bit bigger. And then another little trick that you can do is you can click the plus icon here, you can click media, and you can click record like this. Here we go. So start recording. I am a cat. Right. Use recording. There it is. There's the loudspeaker icon. You can drag it over the top of the picture and you can then click the eye icon. And it says here, invisible when reading, invisible when reading. So you then get rid of that, or you enable that, I mean. And now you can see that that loudspeaker icon has gone semi-transparent. So if I click on the play button, like that, and I now click on this, I am a cat. You can hear it. Okay, so you can use that as a way of making your own talking dictionary if you want, or talking worksheet or support. Which could be good, particularly for ESL learners. Or you can do this sort of thing, which is, I've used that gentleman that I showed you before. I've used a background in a cafe that I took from Photosforclass. So I've superimposed that man into a cafe. They don't normally go together, but I've been able to do that. I've also then added in a thinking bubble and a speech bubble. So as a result of that, I can now click on this and you can hear the audio, but you can't see the loudspeaker because I've made it invisible like this. I wonder when my coffee will be ready. Coffee coming up. There we are. So in other words, what I've done is I've used the Photosforclass picture. So I can use any context I want. I can put the students in any context I want, and I can add in narration. So I'm making a personalized narrated photo story by doing that. Anyway, that's a sort of a diversion from what I was showing you, but that's Book Creator and Auto Draw. Right. Cool. Any questions at all from anyone else while we're here? Or should we move on to another idea? Any thoughts or reflections or?
I just thought that it could work for beginning levels to do this as an instructor, but it could also be a great activity for learners to do themselves or to do collaboratively.
Yeah, definitely.
Can the book creator, can people collaborate on it? Can more than one person work on it?
Yeah, so the answer is they can, but only in the paid version. You can't collaborate.
Oh, okay.
It's not like a Google Doc
Okay.
whereby you can collaborate in real time. What you can do in Book Creator is you can create your book. You can then export it as what's called an EPUB file, which is the generic format for ebooks. Another student could then import that EPUB file into their library, into their book, and then they can then work on it. But you can't work in real time doing that. Let's go back. That's not how that works. What you could do is they could collaborate together on a Google Doc and then copy and paste the materials from the Google Doc into Book Creator, but you can't unless you pay. And I'm not sure how much it is to pay, but I think it's very generous. You can make up to 40 books in Book Creator. Okay, let's move on then, if that's okay. So the next thing I'm going to show you, which I'm very excited about, which is called Gif Cap. And essentially what it allows you to do is it allows you to make very high quality GIFs. Like you wouldn't know that was a GIF really, and apart from the fact it's moving, but the actual quality of the GIF is very good. And it allows you to record any tab that you have on your computer, and it allows you to crop what you've done as well. So I will show you what I mean live. And of course, you don't have to use Jamboard for this. You could use anything, but I think it works particularly nicely with Jamboard, for example, showing word order. So if I now click exit, and you can have a GIF as well as a background. So let me show you what I mean. If I go to here and I go to Jamboard, let me do, sorry, jam.new, just show that it does work. Jam.new will create a brand new Jamboard, which is here, brand new Jamboard in my account. I'm then going to click on the sticky notes here, and I'm going to say this is, let's do that. This is save our CoTESOL Tech Clinic. Okay, there we are. Okay, so I've got my different items here. I'm now going to mix them all up like that. So they're all in the wrong order now. And obviously I can make the size of these bigger or smaller, but I'll just keep them as they are. That's fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, I'm going to close some of these tabs first of all, because I've got too many things open, and that's why I can't see everything I need to see. So let's just close. There we are. That's what I need to see. Let's close that as well. Let's close that as well. Right. Okay. So then what you do is you go to a new tab, and then I've actually got this favorited in my bookmark. So I'm going to go down to the bottom, all these different things I've bookmarked, and I'm going to go to here, gifcap.dev, gifcap.dev, which looks like this. I'll copy that and put that into the chat for you. There we are. And now what I do is I click start recording, and I choose Chrome tab. You can record your whole screen, but I normally choose Chrome tab, and I choose Untitled Jam here. and share. Right, as soon as I click share, it starts to record like this. Here we go. Okay, so now I want to write this is our CoTESOL Tech Clinic. And now if I want to move these down here to make them so they're nice and straight across the middle, I can do that as well. And there we are. And then go back to here and click stop recording. Then what you can do, having done that, is I can now, because it's obviously recorded my whole screen, I can then use the little cross here, which is enabled automatically, and I can drag across so I get just that white section. And I click now here, bottom right, I click render. As a result of doing that, it appears like this, and I can then click download and click, let's call it CoTESOL GIF. Save, there it is. I've saved it, and I go back to Jamboard, and I could create. Well, let's get rid of these like that, and I could click set background, and I can click here, image, and I can now literally drag and drop this GIF, and it's going to appear in the background, or I could insert it in the way that I've shown you already. But now this is going to appear as a background. Does that make sense? So then I can then, or I could take that GIF and I could put that into a Google Slides presentation if I wanted to. So that's now just going to, of its own accord, just loop forever. And I just think that's really, really nice. That's really cool. So if I wanted to as well, if I wanted to change the background, I could click set frame. I could go back to this. I could then click the image option. And I could also drag the GIF in that way, which means I could then move it around the screen. So I think for sort of simple grammar explanations, or from an EdTech point of view, you can use it as a way of showing how to change something on the screen. For example, on Twitter, what I'll do is I'll just show you now live. On Twitter, I was showing recently how you can change the language of a Bitmoji. So what I did was I went here, and if I click on here, you can see that here, this is all in English, right? But what you can do is if you click here, the three dots, and you click settings, and you click advanced and languages, and then you then click language here, and you click add languages and choose your language. Let's say I've chosen French. I then click on the three dots here, and I choose move to the top, move to the top. As a result of that, when I go back to Jamboard and I click here on the Bitmoji again, now all the text here is all in French. Can you see? So now, for example, I could do this. I could drag that on there, and suddenly it says, I know how to do everything. I wish, but there we are. So that's just brilliant. And I used gifcap.dev on Twitter recently to show, I made a GIF to show how to do that, which I could try and find for you now. Let me just see if I can find it for you quickly. So if I do a search for my name plus the person who I was helping, who's called Pixie Jojo, whose real name is Joe Pickering, and it's let's have a look. Let's see if I can find it for you. Here it is. There we are. And then we got a bit silly. So this is my friend Sonia, who replied with that animated GIF, and then I then did that one afterwards. So we all got a bit GIF silly, really. But anyway, here's the tweet for how to make or the how to change the language I've just demonstrated live with you. So there we are. Let's go back to here. So that's just another idea. I just think that works really, really nicely. Hello. I just think that works really, really nicely on using Jamboard to maybe describe a grammar point and then turn it into an animated GIF, because everyone likes a GIF, particularly if they move and they're colorful. So there we are. Let's carry on. Wow, this has gone quickly. We've only got 15 minutes to go. Well, I'm more than happy to go over the 15 minutes if you want to be on a bit longer. There's so many other things I could show you. Okay. I wanted to say as well that Jamboard is built now into Google Meet. So you can click on open a jam, and the link of the new Jamboard is automatically pasted into the chat. So all the students get access to it. Okay, that's great, Michael. I'm more than happy to carry on. I'm more than happy to do another half an hour afterwards if people are happy to listen. So there we are. So that's also really nice. And okay, perfect. Right. So now what I'm going to do, so that was Jamboard ideas. I'm now going to show you whiteboard.fi. Is this new to everybody, just out of interest? Whiteboard.fi. Okay, awesome. Let's just do this live because that's a lot of fun, and that makes the point of how it works, really. So this is when you can replicate mini whiteboards in your class. It's really simple. I'm just going to show you how easy it is. So this is for synchronous lessons because the session is only available for 2 hours and then it closes automatically. So it's designed for synchronous lessons. So as a teacher, I click on new class, I put in my name like this, and I click create new class, which creates a room. I then get the link and I can copy that in the chat for you. So all you have to do is just click on that link, or I can click show QR code, and that will then bring up the QR code for me. So I can then just scan that if I wanted to on my second device, which is here. Okay. That then comes up like this. I then click close. There we are. That's now coming up here. And then what you will see, there we are. You've all got your individual whiteboard. So you put your name in here again, which is what I'm doing right now. And I click join whiteboard class. And then you can either draw a picture, or you could add some text, or you can add an image. But I think the drawing feature is particularly nice. So I would like you to draw a picture showing to me how you feel about remote teaching or hybrid teaching. So I'm going to draw a big heart like this, which in a second will appear as if by magic on the screen, as you can see. And I would love you to draw something as well. And we'll go from there. So this is replicating what you would normally do with mini whiteboards. It's really, really nice. Oh, wow, Jeffrey, that's brilliant. Fantastic. So while everyone else is drawing, another thing I wanted to show is I can click on an individual image like this and click on Jeffrey's one, and I can record the screen. So if you remember those people that came along to a session, was it yesterday? I can't even remember now, on Monday. Yesterday when I was showing how to do screen recording. So I've launched what's called Screencastify, and I'm going to click record right now. Okay, I've enabled the pen tool. Jeffrey, I'd like you to carry on drawing, please. And while you're doing that, I'm going to annotate over the picture. Wow, you're amazing. I'm going to give you 10 out of 10, even though you haven't finished it yet. But I could be annotating over the top of my students' work. That's brilliant. While you're doing whatever you're doing on the screen. So in other words, I can give feedback in real time. And there we are. I'm just going to do a triangle now or something. But you get the idea. So he could be drawing, or my student could be drawing while I'm giving feedback, and I could be drawing as well. So like a collaborative drawing idea, similar to what you're just saying about Book Creator. And then I can then click stop recording, which is up here, and click stop. That's amazing, right? So now what will happen is you can now see the whole recording back. I will unmute myself. I'd like you to carry on drawing. And here we go. Okay, I've enabled the pen tool. Jeffrey, I'd like you to carry on drawing, please. And while you're doing that, I'm going to annotate over the picture. Wow, you're amazing. I'm going to give you 10 out of 10, even though you haven't finished it yet. But I could be annotating over the top of my students' work. That's brilliant. While you're doing whatever you're doing on the screen. So in other words, I can give feedback in real time. And there we are. I'm just going to do a triangle now or something. But you get the idea. So he could be drawing, or my student could be drawing while I'm giving feedback, and I could be drawing as well. So like a collaborative drawing idea, similar to what you're just saying about Book Creator. And then I can then click stop recording, which is up here. And there we are. Now click stop. And then top right, it says copy shareable links. This is all part of Screencastify, which is a Chrome extension. But you could use, I was going to say you could use Loom, but Loom doesn't come with the pen tool unless you upgrade to the Pro account. So this is a Screencastify is a nice way of doing this. There's also one called Screenity, which I mentioned yesterday as well. So there's the link. That means you can now watch back that, and I could also include that in feedback in a comment or in a Google form, for example. The other one I just mentioned is called Screenity, which also has a pen tool, which is unlimited. But I think for this particular example, Screencastify is really nice. So that was awesome. Thank you ever so much. So here, for example, if I now click actions, if I decided I didn't like what Jeffrey had done, I could always click kick student out or erase whiteboard. If I particularly liked it, I could click save whiteboard as image. That's lovely. I can see that Jeffrey has now posted a picture. That's fantastic. So obviously that could be really useful as well. I can also click here and I can click save all whiteboards as PDF like that and click save as PDF. That will then make a PDF version of the board. So I click save there and it'll just now export that now. There we are. And it looks like this. So it's evidence of everyone's work. That's really nice as well. And as I said, the room is only available for a couple of hours, and then you can then just create another one. But that's, yeah, there we are. Whiteboard.fi, I think it's brilliant for this sort of activity. And here's some feedback from different people in the MFL Twitterati about it. I particularly like Ms. Ganzorn here, her comment saying, thank you again for Whiteboard.fi. It is the highlight of my lockdown. I think my year 10 will be forever grateful to you for it. Language here, who's a friend of mine, Helena, saying, thank you, showing me how to split my screen in Google Meet. Game changer. Also, thank you for the whiteboard.fi link. If you don't know how to split your screen, there are some Chrome extensions as well for doing this. There's one called Dualus. There's one called Tab Resize, and there's one called Tab Scissors and Tab Glue, which allow you to split your screen and then join it back together again. There's also the Windows key plus arrow keys, which also allow you to split the screen as well, or drag the windows about to make them fit nicely on your screen. That's another option as well. There we are. Okay, so those are a few bits of feedback. Here are two blog posts written by language teachers. The one on the left-hand side is from Samantha Decker, who's a French teacher from the States. And this is Claire Hampson, who works in Yorkshire. And these were written a few years ago now, but the ideas obviously are traditional, and any of the ideas there referring to physical mini whiteboards could be applied to whiteboard.fi. So that's really nice as well. If you're working in a Microsoft environment, you could, in the collaborative space in OneNote, class notebook, you could add in this sort of template, and then the students could then zoom in on their individual page, as it were, and then write on that page. That would be doing the equivalent in OneNote. And here, this is another idea around OneNote. I know some people are big fans. Again, you can use it for individual whiteboards, or you could also give audio feedback by recording audio straight into the into class notebook on someone's page and see it changing in real time. That's really nice as well. And this is a new one, which I've not actually explored myself, but I know a lot of people really like it. So it's similar to Whiteboard.fi, but you've got other features as well. So it's called Whiteboard.chat, and this is a YouTube clip from a guy I really rate who does lots of EdTech tutorials. So I'd really encourage you to have a look at that as well and check it out. And this was designed by teachers apparently, and it looks really nice. So I've shared that with you there as well. And then this is also another type of powerful tool whereby you can have you can see immediately student engagement. You can send student messages. They can all draw and add audio into different into their own area on ClassKick. ClassKick is free. You can have some premium features, but for free you can use the free version very easily. This is actually a Tilt webinar that a lady called Jan Chalmer did for us, who's based in Victoria in Australia. And I've known Jan for many years, and she's amazing. And she very kindly offered to do this webinar for us around ClassKick. So if you're interested in finding out some other ideas around whiteboard work, I would have a look at that. Here's another quick idea. Yeah, we've got loads of time, it's fine. Another idea is using what's called classroomscreen.com. So this is a free tool. It's a web tool, And within classroomscreen.com, you can have things like a dice, you can have a name picker, you can click on the media option and add in your own items. So for example, in this example, you've got what's called Wheel of Names, which is here. Wheel, oh, let's do that again. Wheel of Names.com. There we are, and it's basically a name spinner, but you can use it in lots of other ways as well. So here, as you can see, what I've done is I've added different images in. I've used the auto draw option. I've put in different text and so on and so forth. You can add in images, as I've said. You can click on add image here and add in an image. It's completely free. And if you click share and continue and copy link, okay, I've copied that now. I can then go to a new tab and I can go to classroomscreen.com. Okay, launch Classroom Screen. So this is, again, completely free. And then I can click on where it says media on the screen like that. And I can click where it says embed, paste in the link, and click open website. Okay, so now what's going to happen is that's going to appear now on the screen like this. Can you see? And then I can then move it so it appears as large as I need. Oh, let's do that again. There we are. So I've got my wheel now. Let's make that slightly bigger. Not that I'm a perfectionist at all, but anyway, that's all good. There we are. Perfect. Right, that's lovely now. And then I can click on a random name here if I wanted to. And I could put in John, Paul, George, Ringo, and click choose. Okay, so one of them is now going to come up randomly. There it is. It's Paul. So I can say, okay, Paul. And I spin the wheel. And I say, okay, Paul, I'd like you to talk about monkeys. So you get that thing, you put whatever you want within that, and then Paul would then have to talk about a sentence talking about a monkey. Yeah, does that make sense? So if I go back to here, in this example, what my friend Esmeralda has done is she's put in the names of her students in the random name picker on the left-hand side. And then here she's got some sentence starters like, in the future, when I am older, the most serious, my town has too many, and so on and so forth. So when the name comes up, they then have to make a sentence in, say, Spanish or French based on what comes up. And that's really simple to do. And that's really nice in a hybrid or in a remote teaching context. And you can do other things like you can have a dice and what have you, and so on and so forth. So that's one example. Here's another example, again, by Esmeralda. So you've got the name picker here. You've got different activities with the Bitmoji. So when one comes up, Findlay could then say, so I like to play guitar on the weekend, for example. If we go to the next one, this is combining Flippity. So there's a tool called Flippity, which is also brilliant, flippity.net. And this is the random name picker exercise type within Flippity. So again, the teacher has put in the different items. She chooses a name, and then Connie then has to make up a sentence using those structures in a random way. So they're both random, the different answers. This is called Learning Apps. learningapps.org, which also allows you to embed that into Classroom Screen. Learning Apps is completely free and has lots of activity types like matching, and it has a really nice text-to-speech engine, so it's good for listening activities as well. You can add in a timer as well if you want to, and so on and so forth. This one I just found randomly by searching for Classroom Screen. So this teacher has got the instructions on the left-hand side, and then is modeling it with a photo that she's taken from a student's work. And then the idea is then the children will then have 5 minutes so they then create their own version. as it were, which I think is cool. This is using an activity called One Pen, One Die, which you may not have heard of. But essentially, the idea is the children keep rolling a dice. When they get a 6, they can then translate a sentence, and then it goes on to the next person. And this is a way of doing this virtually. This is an Italian example. And as you can see, the feedback there is really nice. If you're not sure how to play the activity, just do a search for One Pen, One Die, or One Pen, One Dice, and you'll find the instructions, but it is pretty straightforward on how to do it. And here's a video tutorial that Esmeralda has done on using Classroom Screen. She's amazing. I check out lots of her tutorials on her YouTube channel because she's fantastic. And right, so I'll do some more activities around other whiteboards in a second. But how much longer, Michael, should we run for? Because obviously we've come to 9:30 now. I'm more than happy to do another 30 minutes if you want me to. It's not a problem. But could you give me an idea? Okay, that's fine. So let's finish with this one then, which is also about whiteboards. So there's a new tool that you may not have heard of before called Spiral.ac. Hopefully that's new to everyone. So Spiral.ac is a free tool which allows you to do mini whiteboard work, particularly 2 activity types, which are called Quickfire Light and Quickfire. At the language show, which takes place every November, normally face-to-face in London, but this year, or last year, should I say, it was a virtual event, and all the videos of all the sessions, so there was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, lots of sessions to watch. They're all available on the Language Show YouTube channel. So if I just write that in the chat, so Language Show YouTube channel, just do a search for that and you'll find it. So this is Esmeralda again, who did a talk called Stickability Beyond the Classroom, delivering high impact lessons via the use of IT tools. So what she did was she showed all her favorite tools out there for teaching languages, and she's amazing. And one of them is called Spiral.ac. Now, Spiral.ac, this was on the Sunday that she presented. Spiral.ac was introduced to everybody the day before on the Saturday as part of our show and tell session, which is a traditional session that we do at the language show. And there was a teacher from the Middle East who joined us virtually, of course, called Laura Causer, C-A-U-S-E-R. And she talked about Spiral and how she's using it for mini whiteboard activities. And so the recording of that is there as well as Esmeralda from the previous slide. And okay, that's my phone.
So, welcome everybody.
Oh, hang on, let's go on to the next.
To AWL London's language.
Sorry about this. Hopefully the phone will stop in a second. Let's carry on. Or should I just hang on? Let me just mute my microphone quickly. Let me just 2 seconds. Right, sorry about that. So I thought it's going to ring and ring and ring. So I do apologize. I wouldn't normally do that, obviously. Right, okay. So this is again from Laura. And you can see these are some of the things you can do with Spiral.ac, how it's for mini whiteboard work. You can keep the answers hidden and so on and so forth, but I'll demonstrate this live in a second. Here is a blog post by Miss West MFL. And you can see these are the activity types you can do. So I'm going to focus on the Quickfire Light one today, which is no preparation required, just verbal Q&A. And the other one, which the MFL Twitterati particularly like, is this one, which is the Quickfire version, which allows you to put in text as questions, so the children see the text options as opposed to you saying out loud as you do with the first one. This again is a YouTube clip from Esmeralda Salgado. What I particularly like, but I'm going to show you this in a second, is when the students put their answers in, the teacher can click on correct, which means if everyone has the same answer, they'll all be marked as correct. But you also have the improve option, which means that if you click on improve, it means that the students whose board you click on to improve gets the edit button appearing, they can then improve their answer and make it better. So you can say, well, I see that you've forgotten to put a capital letter for the start of your sentence, or you've forgotten to put a full stop, or you haven't put a justification in, or you haven't put a reason in, or you haven't put an opinion in, or whatever it might be. So that's also really, really nice for that to work. And this is a blog from Jane Bassnett, who's amazing as well, along with Esmeralda. Her blog is called What Jane Learnt Next, and Esmeralda's blog is called mflcraft.blogspot.com. I'd really encourage you to check out both of those. And here, Jane is talking about Quickfire Lite in particular, or Spiral. And this is the website. So just to finish with, we'll have a very quick go on this, if that's okay. So I'm going to go to spiral.ac just to show you how it works. I'm already logged in. I need an account to log in, but I click home. But the students do not need any sort of account at all. I've clicked on home. I'm going to click Launch Quickfire Lite, which is here. I've made a class already, and I click Go. That will take me to this page here. I will launch my camera on my second device, and in fact, I don't even have to do that. I just need to go to, that's right, I forgot. I just need to go to gospiral.ac. So can you all do that for me, please? Can you see on the screen? Go to gospiral.ac, like that. That allows you to put in a code, which is NNPHY. The code stays the same for each session that you do. And then you put your name in. So I'll write in the word Joe, and then I then click Start on the screen. So you click the Start button. Okay, so I'm here already. So if you do that as well, if that's okay. And then we can all have a go at doing this quickly, right? So no problem. Okay. So Cheryl's in already. That's great. I'll just wait for you to join, Jeffrey and Daniela, if you'd like to. Fantastic. Okay, let's just go for it. So I'm going to click here. I click Go. Okay, and then you can see it says waiting for students to answer. So I would then say out loud a question. So I would like you to tell me what you did last weekend in a language of your choice. I only know French and Spanish, so you can write whatever you want. But in a language of your choice, tell me what you did last weekend. You can make it up. I won't be checking as well. And you can see at the bottom, it says reveal answers, show names. So I can choose whether I want the students to see each other's names or not, or whether I want to reveal the answers or not. So I'm going to write down in French, I went to the cinema. I wish, but anyway. So there we are. So I'll just write that quickly. Remember to put a full stop at the end and a capital letter at the beginning. So I've now submitted that, and it says that, can you see? It says here, answer is hidden in all these 4 cases, which is just fantastic. So what that means now, what I can do is I can now click reveal answers. Okay. So that's fantastic. So now you can see, I can have a look at this and I can say, okay, fantastic. That's all brilliant. So now I could say, right, I want everybody to write another sentence telling me what they're going to do this weekend. So I can now click improve, 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 and so on and so forth. You can then, we went to the park, okay, and so on and so forth. You can then add to your answer. So I could then say, the weekend prochain, next weekend, in other words, j'irai let's have a look, à la patinoire, right. So let's tap submit. So I've submitted my answer. There we are. See, that's lovely. That's great. So I can then click correct. There we are. I could now here. I've realised I haven't put a capital letter. No, sorry, I don't need a capital letter because that's fine. Yeah, because it's not the start of a sentence. That's fine. So I can click in. I can click correct. But you can see how it's changing. So this is, as I said, this is like having mini whiteboards, and that's lovely. So we've done it, and then I could click answer another question. I could click show names if I wanted to, if I was happy to do that. like that. I can see what people, so I can then refer to people by name. I can say, fantastic job, Daniela, brilliant. Interesting, Jeffrey, that's lovely. Thank you ever so much. I can say, okay, Cheryl, good luck. I know that you're still writing your answer, and so on and so forth. But you get the idea, yeah? Then I can click finish quickfire, like that. And then that will give me a few analytics. So I can see how many questions have been answered, the responses received, the overall performance, and so on and so forth. If I go down here, it says list by question. I can also click on list by student, and I can see the answers that an individual student has given, and it's completely free. It's just fantastic. So there we are. I think I will stop sharing right now, because I think, well, let me just double check. I think that was everything I wanted to say. Yes, it is. Yeah. So there's lots of other things I could talk about, but unfortunately we've run out of time. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. I'll make a stripped down version, which I will share with Michael, who can then pass it on to everyone. But I really hope you found that useful. Thanks ever so much for being willing volunteers. And I would love to come along on Thursday and Friday, but I think we need a few more people. So do encourage other people to come along. If enough people come along, I think it'll run on Thursday and Friday. If not, this may be the last opportunity. So if that is the case, I'd just like to, again, officially thank Michael and Cotisol for this opportunity. It's been a real pleasure. And if you feel that what I've shared with you has been useful, do recommend in your own context that people invite me along to do a further webinar with your staff and what have you. But thank you ever so much for being so lovely. And so Michael's going to push it tonight. That's brilliant. I would love to do. Obviously, I'd love to do the whole week, but I appreciate it's tricky if it's a small group. But it does mean you get virtually one-to-one support, which is lovely. But to also be lovely to work with a bigger group. So any final thoughts? If you'd like to turn on your mics or say anything out loud, any final questions? But yeah, hopefully you found it useful and it's given you some ideas on using whiteboards in a remote or hybrid teaching context.
Everyone's very quiet now, even Rhett. That's unusual, but that's okay. Yeah, Joe, what we're gonna do, we're gonna put some more, we're gonna push people a little bit more to sign up.
Excellent.
But right now it just doesn't look like we have the numbers, but we'll see what we can do, and we'll let you know. But yeah, it's been really good. I think it could just be that it's a new format. We're trying out a new thing. And it'll grow in the future, I would think. But all the feedback so far has been very, very, very positive. Everybody who has taken part has liked it. So yeah, good.
Awesome, thank you. Well, I think people seem to like clinic ideas rather than just as an alternative to sitting in an hour presentation. I appreciate, essentially I've done a presentation, but I've also tried to base it on what people have asked for, and also encourage people to give feedback, and so we can have a bit of a chat as well, rather than it just being a straight presentation. To me, that seems to be a nice addition. So I'm really delighted that Michael has believed in this concept that I've suggested and that we've run with it. And it would be lovely to do further clinics at further Cotisol events in the future for sure. I just think it's lovely. Yeah, exactly, Michael. I want to believe as well. Yeah, I think it's great. It's certainly when the clinics I've done in other contexts have gone down well, because everyone wants their individual question to be answered, and this is the perfect opportunity to be able to do that. Okay, lovely. Thank you so much.
I wanted to say thank you, and I really appreciated the experiential part of it too. Kind of walking through it was really helpful. Thanks.
Excellent. No, you're welcome. Thank you so much for being lovely. But all of you taking part. I'm delighted, Jeffrey, as well, that your children didn't make a hullabaloo in the background. They didn't. You're smiling. Who knows what's been happening the whole time? You've been muting your microphone, I know, the whole time.
Yes.
Chaos has been happening, no doubt. But anyway, it didn't disturb the recording, so that's brilliant. And yeah, thank you. On that point, actually, I was trying to record a screencast 2 days ago, and literally next door, this dog was barking for about an hour and a half. Unfortunately, they stopped just before I started to record, because I was thinking, how am I going to record? Because anyway, that was the deadline. I had to do it on that day. And anyway, it was fine in the end. The dog stopped, but my word, yeah. Okay, do take care. Thanks again, Michael. I look forward to hearing whether tomorrow and Friday run. if not, again, officially, I'd like to thank Michael for making this possible. I really appreciate it. And I'm so delighted that you found it